Well, happy Tuesday, my dear students, my followers, my admirers, and my haters. It's me, Alex, your sassy dispatch girl, instructor, and person who deals with trucking every day, almost 24/7. No, not really. I became a professional dispatcher and I know how to deal with ups and downs. And I finally learned how to find the time for myself, for family, and for running the business. I will be right back and we're going to discuss what's going on with dry van dispatchers. What is challenging and why are we going to do this? Because tomorrow we have the first webinar and I'm going to try out if this series is going to work for our clients. So I will be back in a second and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow or in our upcoming July training, which starts on Saturday. Please do not wait till Friday. Sign up today at least so you have a few days to prepare for our intense training. I will be right back. And I am back. Let's say hi to a few of our friends. And of course, look at this. Mr. Lincoln, he's been with us for a long time. He took all our classes. I follow him on Facebook and TikTok, and I love when he shares his reefer adventures, right? How he's getting loaded or unloaded. Actually, he lives in McAllen area, so he always deals with the produce loads. But today we're going to be talking about general freight, dry vans. We're going to say hi to Monica. I think she's joining our class and we're going to see her on Saturday. So hopefully you guys have some questions, but we're going to do a really quick preview on what's going to happen tomorrow in webinar. First, we only have 2 spots left. It's 10 students per webinar. Why? Because I really want to push you guys and improve your skills. If you are dispatching dry vans, first, we're going to make sure that we're going to go through some analytics for 2024. We're going to also go kind of back to terminology. We're going to make phone calls. We're going to check on the DAT one. We're going to check truck stop. We're going to go to a bunch of different brokers, load boards, and see what do you have to catch as a pro dispatcher. Because remember, dispatcher is not only posting equipment or making the phone call. The pro dispatcher is a person who prevents any possible maybe claims, maybe long loading or unloading, or maybe not taking the truck to the area where is no commodities for the dry van. So we're gonna be actually building our knowledge on commodities, on shippers, on receivers. What type of shippers are mostly common for FAK, freight of all kinds, the dry vans, right? What size do we have? What else do we have inside of those trailers? Do they have swing doors, roll-up doors? Do they have wooden floors? Are they plated trailers? Is it good to have E-tracks or not? So all of those things we're going to be covering. We also going to looking at the data for 2024. Remember, I have been teaching probably for what, 2.5 years, right? And market today is totally different that market in 2023 or market in 2024 or when I started my company in 2013. Totally different market, totally different requirements for carriers, dispatchers, and totally different negotiations. That's why as a pro dispatcher, we're going to make sure that we understand how to read the data, what can help us, and actually what does it mean. So we will be going through certain criteria. We're going to see, is that really valid data and how to be realistic in this market. Of course, all this looks so good in the colors, right? Wow, you can look at the load to truck ratio, but what is really load to truck ratio? We're going to cover that, but I will be teaching you how to cut the nonsense out because, as many of you know, Alex, I am teaching you how to cut BS out, how to do your job faster, how to make sure that you still kind of trying to get the best deal possible, although it's not that easy nowadays. But I want you to have the strong foundation, no matter what market is doing today or tomorrow or in 2026. If you have the strong foundation by knowing the commodities, knowing the equipment, knowing how to negotiate, know how to build a relationship, know how to read the data, knowing how to pre-plan, pre-book, and stay away from certain area, well, you're gonna be always a pro. Even now in this harsh market, dispatchers who have knowledge, they still do the better job. It's still not easy for us. We are sitting making the same amount of phone calls, but probably getting better results than the people without knowledge. So let's go back. So we're not going to concentrate on just colors and comparison. I want you to put these numbers and put the reality exactly, let's say, for Midwest, exactly for East Coast, maybe exactly for Dallas, maybe how we getting affected by the hurricane, right? What pro dispatcher does. So tomorrow, actually, it's going to be very challenging for some of you because we're going to be dealing with spot market, right? Spot market due to what? To something which we cannot control. Well, Mother Nature decides to throw the hurricane, and here we are dealing with what? We're dealing with the damages in certain states. We're dealing with the shortage of the food. We're dealing with the special loads, FEMA, extra emergency load. Well, what happening to hours of service? Do we have any regulations about this? So tomorrow we're going to go over all of this, right? We also gonna be really paying attention to terminology on the load board because I want you to go to every state, go to every city and understand those numbers. Just because it says that a ratio in Wyoming at 5, that doesn't mean you want to take your truck to Wyoming. It's nothing there. You know why the ratio is going to be at 5 points? Well, because it's maybe 20 loads and one truck posted. Is that really a good indication for you to decide to take your truck to Wyoming? No, we're going to be building simple mathematical logic here, right? Like kind of in the first grade. Well, is 5 loads can be comparable for 250 loads? Is one truck can be actually comparable to 100 trucks, right? The color is going to be the same, red and red. But logical thinking is right there. And pro dispatcher understands that the color means nothing. Inbound and outbound has to be really analyzed. While also how to read the data for today, for previous 8 days, for 15 days, and maybe for posting the truck in the morning, afternoon, and see the change. And we're gonna learn that sometimes in certain areas, maybe you need to bring your truck on Friday night and find their load on Saturday. But it's not gonna be about dry vans tomorrow. It's gonna be about the reefers in certain area due to produce market. But let's just go back and see, why did I decided to throw this extra webinar? Well, because first, in my classes, as many of you know, we do have practical session, but of course, we're not in my class long enough so I can transfer all my knowledge, all my skills to all my students. I do as much as I can, and I do believe I do a great job, but practical skills are important. That's why this is a webinar for people who took my classes or people who already dispatching and want to improve exactly drive and dispatching. Then remember, we have the reefer coming up and flatbed. So for tomorrow, we only have 2 spots left. For reefer, I do believe we have 5 left. Flatbed still in August. So I do believe we only sold 2 tickets so far, but it's gonna fill up really fast. If you are a previous student, please double check your email because you can use with a code $50 and it's gonna be only $100 for training. It's live. We're gonna be recording some things and then I will be share my kind of ideas for each of you. That's why these classes are only 10 students, because I will tell, for example, I see Steffi is watching, right? Let's say Steffi making phone call, she's posting. After the class, every student is gonna receive kind of feedback from me. Maybe Steffi was not paying attention to what is she gonna do, let's say in Oklahoma with a drive-in. Maybe she did not put together hours of service and day of the week. Maybe she skipped to ask some certain questions. So hopefully it's going to be like kind of pushy training on the spot, right? We're going to be making real phone calls. We're going to be seeing if you have your own MC. We're going to see what you are doing, what are you struggling with. And we're going to kind of back up this with the commodities, shippers, receivers, and also the reality of tomorrow's market. Exactly tomorrow on Wednesday. What is tomorrow? Tomorrow is July 10th. What the hell is going to happen on July 10th, 2024 with drive and dispatching? And as you participate in my classes, remember you give me permission to record some of the part of the training. Why? Because I want to share some knowledge with newbies. I want to make sure that people understand that dispatchers are actually the most important person in the trucking chain. Why? Because we are the one who keep trucks moving, and not just moving. Hopefully with our knowledge they are still surviving, because unfortunately I can scream and cry about this, but we are in survival mode. And if dispatchers do not know what the hell they're doing, you're not helping. And now we actually have to do extra to help our carriers to survive, hopefully till 2025. Maybe the end of 2025, we're going to be seeing the switch. We're going to see the difference. But till then, we all have to concentrate on knowledge, on minimizing the deadheads, looking at our operational cost, improving negotiation, building a relationship. If you are a mega carrier and you still do not go and get direct clients, maybe it's time for you to hire some sales professionals. Don't just depend on your dispatchers. I know a lot of companies, mega carriers with 300 trucks, 200 trucks, 150 trucks. And when I ask them, guys, do you have any direct shipments? Well, we used to, we don't really know how to bid, we lost them, or some of you are still doing them under your cost. Are you kidding me? You cannot afford that. If you still run in your trucks at $1.76, let's say Chicago to Washington, and you have 20 trucks doing that route for the last few months, well, I don't know how you're surviving unless you faking your insurance and half of the fleet is not covered, unless you still have money from your previous loans from government, whatever they were giving away, unless you're not paying your truck drivers. But you cannot keep paying your bills if you maintaining some lanes at $1.76 average. Okay. Other problem which we have as a mega carriers, promising drivers to still pay 70, 75 cents, 65 cents, giving them unlimited miles by faking the ELD and all that stuff. Guys, you're not gonna survive. I know you want to keep those drivers, but you will end up closing your doors very shortly. Stop doing that. Reality sucks, but also you as a manager of the trucking company, as an owner of that trucking company, wow, you have to see the reality of this. Again, unless you still want to play that game, that gambling game, but it's kind of shutting the doors faster than you probably were thinking, right? Well, maybe you borrowing money, maybe you simply planning to do the bankruptcy and take just money aside for yourself and your family, but just be honest with yourself. Sit down, relook at your operational cost. Maybe you need to cut some employees, maybe you need to get out of the bigger offices, maybe you need to reconsider what are you doing, where are you going, but most of you have to go back to your operational cost. And every dispatcher has to know exactly operational cost for the drivers they dispatch. If I'm walking into your door and your dispatcher is dispatching 6 trucks and I'm simply asking Mike, what is the operational truck, cost for the truck 10? And if Mike looks at me and is like, well, I'm just a dispatcher, I don't really care, I just try to book the loads because market is so tough, well, that Mike should be fired or never hired. Or simply you as the owner of the trucking company need to educate yourself. But we're not talking about how to build a company. We're not talking how to survive in this madness. We're going back to reality of how to become a better dispatcher and how to make sure that you still kind of surviving, right? I will be right back. We're going to be done in 10 minutes. If you have any questions related to drive and dispatch, to upcoming classes, please ask me. I see that people are watching because we are not really doing educational session. I wanted to come up today just to explain because I received so many phone calls like what's going to happen on those webinars. So we will be right back and we're going to continue. Wow, and I see that Steffi Diaz just said, well, just bought your course for Pro Dispatch training for July. Thank you. See you this weekend. Wow, Steffi, make sure you go through all the emails you're going to receive after I am done with this live because you have to prepare. And again, thank you for choosing us. So what else are we going to be covering? Well, we're going to be also going through some practical sessions, right? How to calculate stuff. What is the difference when you look at the average? What is the spot market? What is the contract rate? How does DAT1 reads it? What's going on? Are those numbers are really valid numbers? Are those full loaded miles? Are those including the deadheads? Are this like average for one load, 2 loads, 1 month? So we're gonna be concentrating on all of this. Again, we will be comparing the spot rates and contract rates because a lot of you dispatchers and drivers have kind of misunderstanding what does it mean when you look at that number. We also gonna go through different type of equipment and we're gonna make sure that we know what are we posting, which comments we are putting, and what is the best way to actually post that brokers see your post faster. So we're gonna go through lots and lots of things, right? And one more time, we also gonna be looking at the truck stop because some of you are working all the time with a DAT1 and maybe you're thinking, what happened if I am gonna add extra load board? Is that gonna help me? Or some of you actually working with a truck stop and you thinking maybe I should learn how the DAT1 is actually putting the same data. So this would be a great challenge for all the parties to see if any improvements has to be done. But this is about kind of everything what we're gonna do. And of course, we're gonna concentrate on those zones, the regions. We're gonna concentrate on the tolls. We're gonna concentrate on market key point markets in each area. We also gonna pay attention to any seasonal changes. So again, this session is not actually the training. It's just an announcement for our extra webinars. And I do believe, actually, I just saw to right now, we have only one spot left because somebody just took our extra spot. So hopefully some of previous students from previous 2-3 classes, I know you were asking for extra practical session. Well, there it is. And you can use code which was sent to you right before this live, so you can save $50. Let's answer some question. Я могу работать удаленно в Казахстане. Well, a person is asking from Kazakhstan, can she work from Kazakhstan? Well, yes, yes, and yes. The reality of transportation industry in the USA, especially people who servicing, dispatchers, safety managers, what do we call them? ELD assistants, fakers of the ELDs. Well, most of them located outside of the country. So if I would guess, I don't really know the exactly data, like exactly to the number, but I would say that 40% of dispatch is outsourced to different countries. So yes, Gulmira, it is possible as long as you're gonna have a knowledge, because the problem with most outsourcing dispatch services, people never been in the USA. So simply understanding our routes, our traffic, our holidays, right? Simply even the way you ask the questions, because although we all have accent, but well, it's a difference between American English kind of and British English. So the simple question like, madam, can I have details about this load? Well, it will indicate that you're not in the USA, because in the USA, we barely use word madam. But if you come from other country, or if you somewhere in Europe, of course, you use that. So simple things like that will probably need to be improved, because you want to make sure that you understand the reality, you know how to use load boards, you know the seasonal changes, you at least understand the weather. And when you look at the map of the USA, please do not post advertisement that we are driving with a Scania truck through the Yellowstone Park and we actually swimming through lake from Canada to Chicago, right? So knowledge of geography, time zones, communication skills, and all that is easy, because the Google Translate, it's all good, but the dispatcher has to be able to talk over the phone, right? That's why we're having a hard time, not only with dispatcher, but the brokers who are using outsourcing. Do you guys actually paid attention that we have so many like email me? Well, why? Because most of the people are outsourced, they're in a different country, and they're afraid of making the phone call. So if you actually gonna learn how to do this, you can work from other country. You just have to pay attention for the time difference, because as I probably can say, Gulmira, is that, well, you're going to be working, I believe, really early in the morning or late at night. I don't really know the difference. I cannot say the difference between Kazakhstan, but I know a lot of people who work in Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. So the only thing for you, are you going to be okay with the time difference? Because it's going to be challenging for some people. But again, in reality, even for people who live in the USA, if you're on the West Coast and you're in California and you decide to become a dispatcher, well, the time difference, it's kind of gonna be not easy. If your trucks are on East Coast, while the difference is 3 hours, you would want probably to post your trucks 8 a.m. on East Coast and Midwest, because nowadays you have to be the first one who call. You have to make sure that you answer. So if you somewhere in Los Angeles, well, 8 o'clock, 8, 7, 7, 6, 5 a.m. Are you willing to wake up 5 a.m.? So there's challenges for USA citizens and people who live in the USA as well. But is it possible? Of course, it's possible. What other questions do we have? I see we have some people watching on a Facebook. We have people watching on YouTube. Well, hopefully I did answer most of your questions. What's gonna happen? Again, if you guys are not sign up yet or did not subscribe for our website, you can do so. In this case, you can actually receive any promotions that we have, but you can see all our trainings. So tomorrow we are having dispatch for dry lands. We are starting July training on this Saturday. We have IFTA filings on July 21st, and it's gonna also begin our safety and compliance. If you only want safety and compliance, then hopefully I'll see you on July 28th. And of course, we have flatbed on August 14th. We have August class. And again, everybody's asking me, Alex, why did you put express обучение диспетчеров in Russian language? So maybe if Gulmira's still watching, I scheduled it for August. And people have been asking me, Alex, can you please teach how to dispatch in Russian language, just because we have lots of people from post-Soviet Union territory and they do speak Russian. It has nothing to do with nationalities. It's just because it's one of the languages which was taught widely. And I'm kind of debating, because in my previous class, actually 2 classes, I did have people and they had challenges with understanding all the materials in English. They had the challenges in following me in English. So that's why, like, guys, I might do that express class in Russian, but that doesn't mean that you cannot speak English. So it's going to be probably like 70-30, 70% English and 30 explanation in Russian, just to make sure to clarify maybe some principles, maybe some terminology. And that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that people's going to sign up and unfortunately they're not going to be able to make phone calls, or they're not going to be able to read materials. So I'm debating. It's still on the schedule. Maybe on my new YouTube channel, I'm gonna do a few videos and see if we're gonna have lots and lots of reviews and comments. And if I see that people are interested in that, then hopefully I'll do it. But again, don't really count on this, because I want to make sure that it's gonna make sense. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. I want to make sure that this is gonna be beneficial for both of us. Me as an instructor, you as a future dispatcher, and most of those people are located outside of the USA. That's why, Gulmira, I just wanted to mention that, because I see that you were asking me questions in Russian. Well, what else is going on? Oh, well, everybody's talking about all the new rules and regulations, right? That FMCSA is trying to push on us. And one more time, remember, guys, if you are the owner of the trucking company, if you are planning to open trucking company, it doesn't matter who you're going to choose, if you're going to choose our training and me personally as your instructor, but I do strongly believe that knowledge in safety and compliance is a must before you decide to open trucking company, before you go and you buy MC from somebody else, before you guys gonna go and buy the trucks, before you're gonna go and fight with your boss right now because you think it's so easy. Invest in the knowledge first. Maybe spend few months and do research, learn how to dispatch. Even if you're gonna be hiring somebody, you need to know how to check on them. Are they really doing a good job? What's going to happen if they go on vacation? What's going to happen if you guys don't get along? So you as a future owner, you kind of have to learn how to wear different hats, right? Well, today you're a dispatcher, afternoon you're an accountant, next day you are a recruiter, then you are a troubleshooter, and hopefully you also have your CDL because you will need to go and pick up your truck in other state. Then you have to pass audits, then you have to deal with fines. So being an owner of the trucking company, it's not that easy, very challenging. And nowadays, you have to be prepared for that because nobody can afford to come into this industry without knowledge. And it's not that easy to find the people who gonna stay and work with you. Let's say somebody's promising you, well, I'll dispatch you, just open MC, you go on the road. Well, you guys get this agreement, that person is gone, and here you are stuck with MC, with insurance, with a truck payment, and you have no knowledge. You don't even know how to communicate in English, or you don't really know how to use that load board. So don't be that naive. Those times are gone, especially in this market. It's not 2020, it's not 2021, it's 2024 survival time in the trucking. Most of you are not ready to come into the trucking financially, first of all. Secondary, if you do not know how to run this business, if you do not have skills to dispatch, simple accounting, please just don't waste your money because you will be disappointed. And I am not trying to push you away because I am just honest. I am direct. Believe it or not, I receive so many phone calls and I start talking to students and I ask, why do you want to become a dispatcher? Well, the last phone call, for example, I received, it was a guy from California. And he was, I do believe, a biomechanic. And he says, well, it's getting harder to find a job. So I was thinking of going and learning how to dispatch. Well, no problem. I'm going to give you knowledge. But there is a big gap. You know, when you were making 150, 175,000 a year, well, by taking my training is great. I'm going to give you experience. But as a dispatcher, are you going to be making the same money? Do you have enough money to survive? And now you're looking to become an independent dispatcher. So for all your life, you were an employee. Now you have to become your own boss. And let's be realistic, not everyone can be a boss. Not everybody is willing to do what it takes to build your own business because it's a lot of work. A lot of times it's working 7 days a week. It's taking extra steps. It's doing all those different jobs you have to learn how to do. And a lot of people are not used to that because if you work for the big company and you had a salary, well, you're going to get disappointed. But on other hand, if you're ready to become your own boss, if you're ready to control your own life, if you really have what it takes, you can become pro dispatcher. You can open the safety company. You can actually make the same amount of money, but you have to be realistic. It's going to take a little bit of time and knowledge. So probably, some people like, Alex, why are you telling me not to sign up? I'm willing to pay for your class. Guys, I don't do this just to make money on a class. I do it as my own passion, my own mission. And if you've been watching me for a long time, well, my mission is to change trucking for the better. To change trucking for the better through education, the basic strong foundation for dispatchers, safety managers, owners, for people who are trying to look into this industry. And hopefully with our influence, you guys getting better. Hopefully some of you are improving, and hopefully some of you just listening to this and like, well, maybe I am not ready. But I bet some of you sitting and looking, look at her. She's done it. She's still going strong. She's not disappearing even in this market. Maybe that's something I want to do. So if you are that person, sign up for my class. I will push you to your limits. I will show you how this done, and I will make sure that you will be a pro dispatcher and not just a desperate dispatcher. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. And some of you, I'll see on Saturday. Make sure you have few days to sign up for July training. The next one's going to be in August. And remember to use the code for all the trainings, July 100, and you can save $100. Trucking safety and compliance, IFTA. If you are previous students, make sure that you email, and we are giving extra savings for you since you already invested in your education. Plus, remember, we also have memberships on our YouTube channel, and this is $3.99 per month. And what does it do? Well, it gives free education for people who really need it. Actually, just before the class today, before the stream today, I received a phone call from Argentina, and it was from Nadezhda. I don't recall the last name yet. I did not memorize it yet. And she had a story. Nadezhda Чистякова. So she's in Argentina. She's going through the hard time with her family. They did escape from Russia due to war because they do not agree with the political situation there. And she actually reached out to me and she asked if I can give her credit so she can afford the classes. Well, I was talking to her for a few minutes and I told her directly, I don't mind to give the free classes as long as you're going to study and as long as you are willing to put 100% of your efforts toward this training. And she's like, no, I will pay you one day. And we agree on one simple thing. She's getting this class for free. She's going to study very hard. She already has few drivers in Washington state who are willing to hire, hopefully, her after the training as a dispatcher. And when one day, when she's going to be successful, she's going to find another person who really can benefit from my training, and she's going to sponsor them. And I do believe in the universe. I do believe in positivity. I do believe if you ask, you shall receive, no matter what. Of course, I wish it would be working with, please, universe, can you give us better rate per mile? Can you switch the supply and demand? But we are actually looking at a little bit bigger picture than rate per mile or economic situation. We are looking in kindness of your heart. Be positive, be kind, love other people, and help. And you will be surprised that that's going to come back to you 100 times more one day. And that's how I have been living my life. I do believe in good. I do believe in good karma. I do believe that bad karma is also exists. But most of all, I do believe in knowledge. So stay together. Make sure you share information. And I'll see you soon.